Have you ever walked into a room and felt like everyone else was speaking a language you somehow missed? Not because you were shy, not because you lacked confidence, but because you never fit in. If that feeling has followed you your entire life, this video isn't entertainment. It's an explanation. Because psychologically speaking, people who never fit in aren't broken. They're different for a reason. Most people grow up learning how to blend in, but some people grow up watching instead of joining. You notice patterns early, how people changed personalities, how words didn't always match actions, how groups rewarded sameness, not truth. Psychology calls this early cognitive differentiation, when awareness develops faster than social comfort. You didn't reject the group. The group simply didn't make sense to you. Fitting in requires one thing most people never question: suppression. Suppressing thoughts, suppressing curiosity, suppressing emotional depth. People who never fit in often feel discomfort when pretending because their nervous system rejects inauthentic behavior. So while others adapted, you observe. And observation creates distance. Not because you wanted it, but because you couldn't unsee what others ignored. Depth is expensive socially. When you think deeply, small talk feels empty. Surface relationships feel exhausting. Popular opinions feel artificial. Psychologically, this leads to social mismatch, where your internal world operates at a different frequency. You don't struggle to connect. You struggle to connect with what isn't real. And that creates loneliness, even when surrounded by people. People tend to misunderstand what they can't categorize. If you didn't fit a clear role, not loud, not passive, not predictable, others filled the gap with assumptions. Cold, arrogant, detached. But psychology shows that misunderstood individuals are often those who refuse emotional shortcuts. You didn't react fast. You processed deeply. And that confused people who lived on instinct instead of awareness. Here's what no one tells you. People who never fit in often develop strong internal identity, emotional self-reliance, independent thinking, high intuition. You learn to be alone without being empty, and that rewires the brain. While others depend on belonging for identity, you built identity first. That's not a flaw. That's psychological independence. As you grow older, the gap becomes clearer, because adulthood rewards conformity, comfort, repetition. But people who never fit in seek meaning, truth, growth. So the loneliness doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're evolving faster than your environment. Outgrowing rooms always feels like isolation, until you find the ones built for you. For most people, fitting in feels natural. It feels safe. It feels comforting. It feels like belonging. But for you, it always felt off. Even when you tried. Even when people welcomed you. Because fitting in isn't just about being accepted. It's about adjusting yourself to be acceptable. Psychologically, this is called self-monitoring. The ability to constantly change your behavior to match the social environment. High self-monitors adapt easily. They read the room. They mirror emotions. They say what works. But people who never fit in often have low self-monitoring. Not because they lack social intelligence, but because their mind values internal consistency over external approval. You felt discomfort pretending to care about things you didn't, laughing at jokes that felt hollow, agreeing with ideas that didn't sit right. Your nervous system rejected it, not consciously, not dramatically, just a quiet internal resistance that said, "This isn't me." And the more you tried to ignore that feeling, the stronger it became. That's why fitting in felt exhausting instead of energizing. Most people don't realize this, but belonging always has a cost. For some, the cost is small. For others, it's their identity. And people like you could feel the price immediately. You noticed how groups subtly reward sameness. Similar opinions, similar humor, similar goals, similar fears. Difference wasn't punished aggressively, it was simply ignored. So you learned early. If you stayed fully yourself, you stood out, and standing out felt unsafe, but blending in felt dishonest. That tension shaped you. There's another layer to people who never fit in, one that's rarely talked about. You didn't just feel different socially. You felt older, even as a child, even as a teenager, even when surrounded by people your age. Psychologically, this happens when awareness develops faster than emotional safety. When your mind learns early that people are unpredictable, belonging is conditional, and truth isn't always welcomed. So instead of leaning outward, you turned inward. You became self-contained. While others learned how to be loud, you learned how to be observant. While others learned how to seek reassurance, you learned how to self-regulate. This creates what psychologists call an inner split. One part of you still wants connection. Another part knows connection often comes with misunderstanding. So you exist in between, wanting closeness, but not at the cost of being unseen. That's why people who never fit in often feel emotionally quiet, not empty. Your silence isn't absence, it's containment. You think deeply, you feel intensely, but you don't leak your inner world everywhere, because you learned early that not everyone deserves access. That's not emotional distance, that's emotional discernment. And this is why your presence feels different to others. You don't chase, you don't perform, you don't need to convince, you are. And that level of self-possession can feel unsettling to people who rely on external validation to feel real. So they label you as detached, mysterious, hard to read. But what they're really sensing is integration. You're not fragmented, you're not scattered, you're internally aligned. And alignment always stands out in a world addicted to noise. Here's something most people never realize. Not everyone is meant to belong. Some people exist to question the system, not merge into it. Psychologically, groups function by reinforcing shared beliefs. They survive through agreement, through repetition, through comfort. But progress never comes from comfort. It comes from disruption. And people who never fit in are often wired to detect flaws in systems, social systems, emotional systems, belief systems. You noticed when things didn't make sense, when rules felt arbitrary, when traditions were followed without understanding. And because you noticed, you couldn't unsee it. In psychology, this is linked to high pattern sensitivity. Your mind connects dots faster. You see cause and effect before others do. You question assumptions that most people accept automatically. That's dangerous to group stability. Not because you're wrong, but because you introduce uncertainty, and uncertainty threatens comfort. So instead of being integrated, you were kept at the edges, not consciously, not maliciously, but instinctively. This is why people like you often feel like observers of life rather than participants. You're not fully inside the crowd, but you're not detached from humanity either. You stand slightly outside, watching how things move, how people react, how fear, desire, and validation drive behavior. That position can feel lonely, but it's also powerful, because you see the machinery while others are distracted by the noise. Historically, people who didn't fit in weren't failures of society. They were philosophers, strategists, artists, visionaries, reformers. They weren't designed to belong. They were designed to change direction. And change always comes from the edges, never from the center. That's why forcing yourself to fit in always felt wrong. It wasn't resistance, it was instinct. Something in you knew. If I fully blend in, I lose my ability to see clearly. So you stayed slightly separate, not superior, not inferior, just positioned differently. And the moment you stop seeing that as a flaw, everything shifts. Because the loneliness wasn't punishment, it was positioning. If this video resonated with you, subscribe. On this channel, we explore psychology, identity, and the hidden patterns of human behavior. And if you know someone who's always felt different, share this with them.